Okay, it is time for fun and games with decapping dies. So up till now, I have used just a simple Lee decapper. It works fine. It's just a universal decapper. It's got the O-ring, so it's a little free-floated. Just a fixed pin and a collet. Nothing fancy, but I mean, I can't even count how many pieces of brass that I have decapped with this thing. However, over time, there's been a couple issues that I would always kind of say, gosh, there's got to be a better way to do this. And one would be anytime I was using a progressive press, having a piece of brass that maybe wasn't all the way into the shell plate or lined up would get kind of side punched and jam up the progressive. If it was auto driven, it would hit the clutch and I'd have to stop. If I'm doing it by hand, I might hurt the brass or hurt the decapping rod. So, there's any number of things that could happen there. The other is kind of short cycling on a primer. Maybe there's a primer that just is built just different enough that 99% of them get ejected fine, but one goes just far enough where it stays in the brass. And if you've ever had that happen, it's really frustrating because you'll have your brass and you can't pull it out because the primer is holding it in, but the decapping rod isn't quite long enough to knock it out. And then maybe you get worried that putting the decapping rod too far in is going to damage the inside of your brass, which I've definitely seen that happen too from improper adjustment. So, there's just a couple things where I just kind of said, well, there's got to be something better. So I talked to a couple friends. Sure enough, a few recommendations came up. And so I went and bought both of the decappers that my buddies liked. One is the Mighty Armory and one is the FW Arms. They both do things a little differently from each other, but both are a huge improvement over your standard decapping die or integrated decapping rod on a sizing die. So let's start with the Mighty Armory. So the Mighty Armory solves one of my problems, which is the short punching or kind of short cycling or not being able to fully eject a primer. And it does that by way of a spring loaded system. So it's got this really cool little spring in the back. You've got your die body. You've got your decapping rod, which, by the way, is super easy to change out your decapping pin on. The spring sits right on top of that decapping rod, and then you thread this in. And I really love the simplicity of this. And it's just really cool. I think it has a great form factor. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't get a couple points because it's blue, and I think you can order black and maybe red. I can't remember. There's a couple of colors you can get. So for me, I don't know, it just makes me happy to see the blue on my press. So that gets like I said, that gets a couple points right there. But here's what I really like about it. When I am decapping, listen here. And I'm going to move my mic just so that you can hear it. But listen, I'm going to get kind of close here. Do you hear that click? Let me put another one in. Okay, so that is what I would call like a spring-loaded assist on the primer. And what it really helps me know is that primer is gone. It is punched out. I'm not going to have any issues. So, you can hear it. Very audible, very positive. So that's a big thing for me. I really like how quick and easy it just pop, 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 pop with that little spring assist in there. So now let's look at the FW arms. So looking at the FW arms, let me pull it out for you because it's a different design altogether. And this thing is big. I mean, it's almost twice the size of that. It is probably the longest die I own. But it does something totally different. So it is a rigid decapping rod, but then has a self-centering assist on this bushing that free floats in here. So let me show you what that looks like from the back. So if we take it apart, you can see there's this bushing that floats around it, and then that is going to help capture your brass and keep it lined up so that you get a really clean center punch. Again, like we talked about on progressives or something, that's a huge plus. It is a massive decapping rod that goes all the way up. You can adjust the length through here with this nut and then an Allen head. And again, you can interchange the tips easily. And this simply tightens down, and then we can lock that onto it, and then we have our adjustment here. So the advantage to this one is obviously that self-centering capability, but then we lose the spring assist. So it's sort of a give and take between the two. And if you listen, it's a much quieter, more probably what you're used to with the decapping. So, you know, this one is definitely more feel-based, so you can feel the primer being pushed out, and that's fine. It's just a different feel. So I guess, you know, really between the two, it comes down to what is a, you know, more important feature for you. I really like them both. I find myself, I decap 100 and then I say, well, I think this is the one I'm going to keep. And then I do another 100 on the other one and I say, well, maybe I'll switch to this one. I'm not just saying it. And like I said, I bought them both, so I'm not, you know, married to either one of them. But I like them both for very different reasons. So I'll keep decapping on both of them. I'll make a decision at some point. But if you're in the market for something new in the decapping world, I would definitely take a look at what your needs are, which one of these meets it better, and I would pick one up. And for what it's worth, they're almost identical in price. I think they're both somewhere in the mid-50s plus shipping. And, you know, there you go. I will also say, I intentionally reached out to both companies just to ask a couple of questions. Both companies were very quick to respond and answer. So I have no doubt the customer service is great with both of them. It was just simple questions like, hey, I saw on your website this or that. You know, can you just help me understand it? And, you know, I played dumb a little bit, but, you know, my intention was just to see what the customer service was like. Both people responded very quickly. So that's a positive in my book. So I'm going to finish decapping out the 5 or 6 that I have here. And let's go to this one so you can hear it again. And I got 4 left. And I don't know, I just really like the click. But I really like the self-centering on the other one. So I don't know. At some point, you'll look in the videos and you'll be able to see which one I ended up keeping. And we'll go from there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.